there was a classmate of mine, Chandrahas. His father was actually present at that night. He used to work with railways. Chandrahas is no more today, affected by the gas and this thing. His kidneys were not in the best shape.
I consider my face to be an appendix to my eye. So with the mask, without the mask, doesn't matter. As long as you're truthful to whatever your situation is and feeling is, and the eyes will convey it.
I was new, I am new. It was very important to go through the workshops, and Shiv hadn't seen any of my work. Even I hadn't seen any of my work.
Hello and welcome to ETimes. My name is Jigar Shah, and today we have with us the cast and crew of the Railway Men. I saw it last night. It really shocked me. So being a photography journalist and a student of photography, my introduction to Bhopal gas tragedy happened through Raghu Rai's pictures. Oh. I don't know if you all have got a chance to see through it.
In the show.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying to study, because I, as part of my process, I had to study them and to figure out how he clicked. So what I saw in pictures and what I saw in the show nearly had a proper connection, and it gave me shivers down my spine. So what was your introduction, Babil? What was your introduction to?
My introduction, I knew about it through general knowledge, but I had no sense of, or feeling of what had happened. It was this film. It's this 4-part series.
Yeah.
That truly introduced me to the magnitude of what happened. And it was through the research for this character that I understood. So I'm grateful that, this series will spread it out to our generation and the youth.
Okay. KK sir, you also did a film called Bhopal Express, which is pretty much on the same thing.
Yes. So I knew pretty much about all those things, especially all those pictures that you're talking about. I knew about the tragedy. I knew what caused it, etc., etc. But what attracted me here was the fact that it was a Railway Men story.
Yeah.
So with the backdrop of the Bhopal gas tragedy and the heroism and the courage shown by those people from our railways, Indian railways, that is what actually attracted me more to this. So yeah.
Ayush?
Some memories here you don't remember. कब आपने पहली बार सुना था, कब कैसे आपके जहन में आया था and everything. I think like Babil said, general knowledge, कभी आपके पेरेंट्स ने बताया होगा, शायद कभी आपने कहीं कुछ थोड़ा सा पढ़ा होगा, शायद आपने रघु राय या पॉल बार्थोलोम्यू की फोटोज़ देखी होंगी. I think that's how first iota of information came that way, I think. Just through life.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, I don't specifically remember, but I remember going for a school trip in 7th or 8th standard to Madhya Pradesh and to Bhopal, and I think that's the first time where you really heard about it, but I was too young to kind of understand the gravitas of what had happened. You had heard that something like this had happened, but I think like Ayush was mentioning earlier, statistics don't hit you the way when you actually deep dive and when you actually read and when you actually see and when you hear the human accounts. I don't think the magnitude of it hit me till we started working on Railway Men. I think like I knew of it, but I think just the fact that how far, like how deep was this whole how bad it was, and just the sheer scale and magnitude of it didn't really strike me as one of like the defining moments like in my life. Like didn't strike me till we started working on Railway Men. I knew of it, but I think एक वो होता है, जैसे for example modern history में हमारे इसमें like I was in Bombay when 26/11 happened, so like that for me I know that it's I've seen it with my own eyes and I was a college student at the time, but this obviously, I mean, when I did find out, I mean, I can only imagine. I can't even imagine what people went through. Even after making the series, I still can't really fathom what must have happened that night.
Divyenndu?
Funny that it's sort of personal, this thing, because I was in FTI and there was a classmate of mine, Chandrahas. His father was actually present at that night. He used to work with railways.
Wow.
Yeah, on that fateful night. So Chandraha's first time actually sort of introduced us to the whole thing of how it happened and how his father was behind the console, and he said one thing कि ट्रेनें निकालो बस यहाँ से, रुकने मत देना, ट्रेनें निकालो. So that was the first time, and it was just so surreal when Shiv actually called for this, and we met, and he was like, I'm gonna make this on Bhopal gas tragedy, and I told him the first thing that actually a classmate of mine, his father was there, and yeah, Chandrahas is no more today. Maybe somewhat affected by the gas and this thing. His kidneys were not in the best shape, and so yeah, it just weird that ways. Yeah.
Okay. For the actors, actually, your face is your card, and in half the show, your face is covered with a napkin, per se. So how was acting with that part? I mean, Nolan once said for Tom Hardy that he acts more with his eyes, so he covers most of his face in most films. So did you all feel any of that sort, or was it a handicap to cover to half your face to be covered with napkins?
It wasn't actually, and we were discussing the same thing in a previous interview. It rather, I think, helps us to convey, what situation we are in, and audiences to realize that the gravity of the situation. So yeah, for us, nothing changed in terms of acting, doing it in a different way or anything. It was rather helpful for us as well, constant coughing and everything, and yeah.
With you, sir? Two of you?
I don't know, as it is in otherwise also without a mask or whatever, I consider my face to be an appendix to my eye. That mirrors what you actually feel, even if you don't say a word.
Yeah.
So, like words are an appendix to a feeling, so they're all byproducts. So for me, that it has been the case throughout. So with the mask, without the mask, doesn't matter. As long as you're truthful to whatever your situation is and feeling is, and the eyes will convey it, and then you can play around with whatever words you want to play around with. So primarily for me, it starts from there.
Okay. Yeah. Surprisingly, this is such a question we keep getting in all the
But it is genuinely.
We never thought of it so much while, like, I think it was just a thing that it was in the script ki wo mask pehenenge, and we were like, हाँ वो mask pehenenge.
I think it might have been a logistical discussion of, like you said, sound and everything.
Yeah, but also I remember Ayush, like when we were doing this, we were talking about, like, when we were writing dialogue, it was already COVID-19 had come. So that's what convinced us कि यार लोग अभी they're used to talk, like, however, there's that, I mean, COVID-19 was a terrible time for everyone, and the pandemic, but I think when we were writing, we were working on Zoom. He was in Delhi, I was in Bombay at the time, and we were working on the dialogue at that time, and my AD was also with us, Vishwas, and we were just discussing about this thing that we are so used to now talking to each other with masks that I don't think this is going to be a barrier, because in COVID-19, like everyone was so used to it and so accustomed to it. So I don't think it ever hindered. In fact, like I don't think the actors also ever had that thing of, कभी क्या होता है, आप वो हम कर सकते थे सब कि अच्छा बात करते करते आप नीचे कर दो, जो हम सोचते थे सब बातों के बारे में, but it never happened. We just felt like समझ में आ रहा है जो हो रहा है. So
also, I don't know whether how many of you have experienced this during COVID especially. You meet a stranger or a stranger, whoever it is, and he or she is covered, and you're having a conversation with the person, and you're pretty impressed because the eyes are doing everything. And the moment that person takes it out, you're disappointed. Yes! And this has happened. Number of times. Sorry, गड़बड़ हो गया. आंखें ठीक थी. That was more expressive.
आंखें ठीक थी.
Because then you can conjure up a lot of things about how it is.
Like हमने ना prep में एक बार decide भी किया था कि when we were discussing it, we'll keep showing the audience that they're constantly wetting the masks and all. But then I remember the edit, we were like, yeah, you're getting the emotion so well, and they are now aware men, and the water's also running out. So let's not get into this thing of, they're constantly redoing it or whatever, because वो आपको really well connect कर रहा है. And I feel if Babil, like in that scene in the locomotive where he says Ammi nahi rahi, if he would have said it in any other way, I don't think, like, I think the way it just connects, because you just see this much. Or when Divyenndu, like, goes to KK and touches his chest, and when he's lying in his lap, and what he does with his eyes, And you know when KK sir's in
Every scene, bro.
yeah, no, KK
Every
sir in the
scene.
locomotive when he says ki 8 saal ka tha wo bacha,
Yeah.
I don't think it would be the same. Like, you know, the fact that it is like that, like, it gives me goosebumps when I watch it, you know. Like,
Even when sir, you know, sir is thinking about the Nishadpura yard when all four of us are sitting.
where he tracks,
Yeah, and he looks away from the window and to.
Yeah. So you really, in fact, like I to feel as a director, it became a boon because you as an audience,
You didn't need a close-up.
You didn't need a close-up. You want audience का
already
बोल के बस भाई यही देखो,
फ्रेम कर दिया
frame कर दिया, इतना ही देखो आप बस. So
Yeah.
it's too good.
Babil, I read your acting coach's tweet yesterday because
Oh, he's not an acting coach. He's an actor.
I know he's an actor as well. I know I've
Yeah,
seen his
yeah.
work as well. But because in your context, he's the acting coach.
That's
what
how
you
lucky I am.
Yeah. So what made you take up? What made you coach for this particular role, or what made you take up a workshop for this particular role?
I didn't have a choice.
No, I
Really? I'm not like, you know, I was new. I am new, and it was very important to go through the workshops. And Shiv hadn't seen any of my work. Even I hadn't seen any of my work. They were taking a huge leap of faith, you know. So to be prepared was absolutely important.
विकास सर ने सारे बच्चों को train किया, Babil and the 2 kids. Yeah, actually he trained the two boys at the station. He trained them and he workshop with Babil. But yeah, it was like our workshops were actually chill, like hanging out. It was never like
and it was not like there's not acting training. Like you can't learn acting. How do you?
We were talking. We were just like talking and just talking about the scenes. And
It was opening up your mind about
more than that. It was about, I think, like with Babil, because if you see through the series, his introduction scene is with Sunny, who's such a fantastic actor. Then he's with KK sir, and then after that, you know, he's with Mushtaq Khan in the yard. Then he's with Divyenndu. Then you know, it was a conscious decision to have Babil always with really like amazing actors who he could really feed off. Like I think वो conscious था जब हम बात भी कर रहे थे beginning में, like every part, like, so I think the workshop was more about, I didn't want him to be conscious around the fact that there's going to be a set and there are so many people, and you know KK sir's there or Divyendu's there, and you know there are 100 people in your pressure. I just wanted him to be free. And like it was, you know, and that was the whole idea. Like
Plus he's a local and dialect and all.
Exactly.
So
he needed to work on. In fact, he worked more on the dialect.
On the dialect,
the dialect was
But I think that's such a special thing, like for a director to identify something within a human being and know that he'll be able to take that out of that person if he creates the right circumstance. And then to work to create that right circumstance. I think that's brilliant.
Cool. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.